Hi, my name is Anuj Kotak, and my partner is Donovan Burkhart, and today I'm going to talk to you about stress spillover and stress crossover. So let's jump right into it. So stress spillover occurs whenever the effects of stress in one domain of a person's life are transmitted to other domains of that person's life. So an example of this would be if stress in your workplace creates stress in your relationship. So this occurs entirely within an individual. Just like how stress spillover could be like an external concept spilling over into your relationship problems can actually also spill over into domains outside the relationship. So, for example, a messy divorce could cause lower performance in the workplace. So the daily diary approach is useful in studying stress spillover, and this approach involves asking individuals to report on aspects of their life at regular intervals, like once or twice a day, usually by responding to brief survey questions. And so, with repeated assessments of the same people over time, individuals act as their own controls, allowing the researchers to examine how changes in one domain of a person's life are associated with subsequent changes in other domains. So, Rapetti in 1989 found that air traffic controllers were more socially withdrawn after a day of heavy work stress using the daily diary approach. And so this was found to be kind of a coping mechanism. The air traffic controllers would become more socially withdrawn to avoid having their work stress kind of spill out onto their partners. So here's an example of stress spillover. So John and Barbara have been married for 5 years. John is a top-level executive at his marketing company, and Barbara is a stay-at-home mom for their two kids in elementary school. One day, John is laid off from his job. When he comes home, he is severely stressed out and does not know how to handle the situation. In turn, when Barbara tries to talk with John about what is wrong, he is not talkative or receptive to Barbara. John spends the next few days losing sleep and becomes more irritable to others while he looks for another job. Over the course of a week, John and Barbara's relationship has taken a turn, and the relationship suffers until he tells Barbara what is going on so she can help him. Conversely, stress crossover occurs whenever stress experienced by one partner in a relationship affects the outcomes and functioning of the other partner. So, unlike stress spillover, this actually occurs between individuals rather than within an individual. So, for example, when husbands report more work stress, their wives actually report more symptoms of emotional problems and like worsened symptoms like depressive symptoms. And that was found by Rook, Dooley, and Catalano in 1991. So here's an example of stress crossover. Brad and Marie have been happily together for 3 years. Life has been good for the two until Brad gets a call from his mother telling him that his father has become ill. After the call, Brad comes home and goes straight to bed without talking to Marie. Over the course of the next few days, Brad starts to avoid Marie and will not let her know what is wrong. This avoidance, in turn, affects Marie's mental state by worsening her depression and anxiety. After a few more days go by, Brad finally lets Marie in on what has been going on, and Marie's symptoms begin to improve. So there are actually distinct gender differences in how each sex responds to stressors at work. So men are more likely to report problems at work after having problems at home the previous night. So as a question to you, is this an example of stress spillover or is this an example of stress crossover? Additionally, wives accept more responsibility at home when their husbands have been stressed at work, but husbands are less likely to change their home behaviors when their wives have been stressed at work. So once again, is this an example of stress spillover or is it an example of stress crossover? Okay, so finally we're going to end this presentation by watching a short video on work stress. And once again, I challenge you to think about whether this is an example of stress spillover or an example of stress crossover.
Good morning, world. Today we're going to talk about something light and quick. We are going to address 5 ways that stress in the workplace can impact your relationship. One being that irritability that you experience before or after work, which is often present when you are experiencing stress on the workplace, can lead to conflict in your relationship. When you're not feeling your best, right before you go into work, you start thinking about it, and all those negative emotions can spill into the home life. Just as you're getting over your day, your stressful day at work, again, that irritability can spill over and cause conflict in the relationship. So you need to be, when you know you are experiencing stress at work, you need to be mindful of those things when you get home.